For more, Yasmina Allouche joins us now live in the studio. She is a researcher with TRT World's Vision Department. Thanks so much for coming in. You're Algerian, so how hopeful do you think Algerians should be that things will tangibly change now for the better?
So in the last 6 weeks, they've shown remarkable maturity and a recognition of the politics of the system. So they recognize that Bouteflika has stepped down, and in the last 2 weeks, this was anticipated. So now they're looking beyond that to the political transition. And they want to know exactly how democratic is this transition going to be? Is it going to be reflective of their aspirations for a second republic that reflects democracy? And it's a waiting game for them now. They have very little appetite to see further transitions or further reforms that actually lead to nothing. This is, Algeria has had 7 in its past, and there have been constitutional reforms that really haven't led to much. So they'll be watching what's happening now very closely, and they'll be using the medium of the street again to reflect their demands.
What are your expectations? Because, oftentimes these protests begin with an attitude that this is so bad, it can't get worse. Sadly, many countries have discovered that it can get worse. Do you think Algeria is in that position, or are there institutions in place to make sure that there is a transition to a better government for the people?
So the current political transition is reflective of the Constitution. Now, for a lot of people, the Constitution has been discredited and delegitimized, given the fact that it really hasn't brought about much of the political change that was expected to see. And also it's been manipulated in the last few years to reflect a system that wants to maintain the current status quo. So with this transition now that's happening with the head of the National People's Council and then elections within a 90-day window, we're going to be looking to see how many of the players, genuine reform actors that are on the stage that will be included, and exactly how much of the people are represented in that process. So there'll be a close observation of that, in the sense that Algerians know exactly what they want. They really don't want to see, again, a long process that doesn't really lead to much, and they'll be very vigilant in what they want to see going forward now.
I want to ask you something, looking further into the future now. People are obviously angry right now, particularly at Bouteflika, but how do you think he will be remembered? We've seen leaders in other countries ousted only to return in memory as heroes. Not far away in Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah was thrown into exile and taken out of office rather violently, and he's now hailed as a hero across the country. Do you think Bouteflika might get a legacy like that?
So he'll be remembered as somebody that was confined to a wheelchair who hasn't addressed his people in the last 6 years. For many Algerians, they've known not only him as a president, and they haven't even seen him in public in the last 6 years. Even his resignation, he hasn't even been able to address the people as exiting the political system. So he'll be remembered as somebody who basically latched onto power when he really should have given up. And his legitimacy defined by his role as a war veteran really will be overlooked by the fact that he was much of the things that he adopted within his presidency really was against the people.
Okay. Yasmina, we'll have to leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thank you.